Hey, John.
Hey, Eric.
Early start tonight, like 4 minutes before our typical start time.
Well, 4 minutes
And we're
before
actually starting to record.
I was going to say 4 minutes before we typically call, and then John does his notes for 40 minutes. No, yeah, my kids were gone tonight, and so came in a little bit early, and I was like, well, let me go on down and get my notes done.
Well, I had my evening calls, and the one got over a little early, and I hopped on, and there you were. It's like, oh, John's early. All right,
Exactly.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
So, how was your weekend?
Oh, it was a bit of work. A bit of disappointment in the sense that I told you I was going to go out and check on the honey stores, and the honey frames are not capped. So I canceled my reservation of the honey house this next weekend and moved it out 2 more weeks. So another 2.5 weeks. And at that point, I think it's just go or go not. If I want to use the good honey house, I think I'll have to go then. If not, I'll be like
hand cranking
two frames at a time. Nah, I do have a machine or a motor, not a motor. Yeah, a motor. Sorry, it's a motor. It's not an engine. There's no fuel involved. That was so. I think I told you when the 5th grade was out, I made them do the hand crank one because you got to do that. But no, I did that once and was like, this is not cool. I'm keen on electricity and using it to reduce the amount of work that I have to do. So
yeah.
Anyway, it's
okay.
It's just let's see, what did we do? I did put up, I don't know, probably a 1/4 mile of fence, of like wire fence, step-in posts and stuff that I had to, mow with tractor and then lay out and blah, blah, blah. So that was a lot of work. Walking through, even though it was the cut deep grass is high stepping and a lot of walking back and forth and back and forth. So I was very tired by the end of Saturday. High stepping and a lot of walking. Yeah. So I intended on getting into the bees Saturday afternoon, but I was dead beat. And so I think I just, once the sun was, it was nice weather-wise. It wasn't very hot. And so I think I pretty much just went out on the back porch once it wasn't in the sun anymore. And I think I might have taken a nap and read for Saturday afternoon, evening. It was pretty nice. Pretty nice. So... If you want to come out and pick blackberries are ripe, though. There's blackberries all over the place.
All right. I might take you up on that one.
My wife and I picked a half a bucket tonight, just, in a few minutes as we were kind of waiting for something else to happen. And they're lots ripe now and lots going to be ripe over the next couple weeks. So there you go. Anyway, that'll be fun.
Nice. I think I had a similar, I should back up. I did not have a similar, other than the fact that I did a lot of reading. I got my oldest daughter interested in the Cradle series.
Oh, okay.
So on our trip out to Utah last week, or two weeks ago, we listened to book 1 of Cradle along the drive.
Ooh, okay.
And we get home and she's like, Dad, can you get me the Audible for the rest of the series? I'm like, yes, I can. Which, of course, then meant that I started reading them all over again. So now I'm into book 4 out of 12.
Okay.
I got to do something until Stormlight 5 comes out. But so I did that.
It's ironic you mentioned that because I got my Kickstarter for books 4, 5, and 6 literally yesterday in the mail.
All right.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful. I'm not going to get up, but I'll show them. I'll show them to you later.
I will see them at some point in the future.
No, the Kickstarter for the leather. I did the Kickstarter for the leather bound editions, and I have 1, 2, 3. Now 4, 5, 6 just came. I'm betting they're going to do 7, 8, 9, and then
7,
10,
8,
11,
9.
12.
You would think. It would be very disappointing if they didn't.
I think he has had very good success with Kickstarter. So Anyway, yes, good, awesome.
Cool.
Funny that just happened yesterday.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I did, I actually went out and hand washed my car in the driveway kind of thing
Wow.
because I discovered something with newer vehicles. And if you've taken your new car through the car wash, you've figured it out.
Yeah.
But so, for example, the Ford is just a dial where you put it in gear. There's no more gear shift. There's no
Yeah.
more, putting it in neutral and letting it just roll. You put it in neutral and then it says press this button if basically, yeah, I call it the car wash mode button, so that it will roll and you got 30 minutes to roll. And it's like, this is not a towing, don't do this for towing. There's a whole separate process for towing. So I was getting cars washed earlier, and a couple months ago I had taken my car in, which is a fully electric car, and it didn't even occur to me that I would have to figure something out on how to let it roll through.
I
So I get in.
It doesn't have a neutral?
It has neutral, but if it's rolling by itself in neutral, it brakes and it shuts the car off.
Really? No, mine did not do that. I've taken my car through the car wash like three or four
Yeah.
times, and nothing bad has happened, and I have done nothing other than turn the dial to neutral.
Okay, so like
Maybe it's a Ford thing.
well, those are the Fords. No, mine's the little Mini.
Uh-huh.
So that's the one that did. Because I get to the end of the car wash and it has shut itself off. I mean, it rolled through the car wash fine, but at the end, it had shut itself off. And the little rollers that are pushing you along starts going thunk, thunk behind me
Uh-huh.
because I'm like panicking. What do I do? Because I can't turn it on. And,
'Cause it's
because
not
it's
in
like
park.
it's not in park. So you got to push on the brake. You have to put it in park. You have to turn on the thing. And cars behind me are now also in the middle of the car wash stopping
Like stopped.
because they can't.
You're
They don't want to hit
testing
me.
the emergency car or the emergency
Exactly.
car wash behavior.
And so, because of that very traumatic experience a few months ago, I am hand washing my car in my driveway because I should probably look up. There's got to be a way to do this, or
I'm
maybe just Europeans don't wash their cars in automated car washes like lazy Americans. But whatever it is, that's my electric car wash panic
I
story.
did not even know that was a thing. I
I
can totally picture myself having done that because I totally just drove up to it, put it in neutral, and
I
let it
I
run.
don't know why, because I know for the two Fords that we have, they're that twist dial to put it in gear, and you put it in neutral, and there's a nice little message on the dash that says if you want this to continue rolling so that it doesn't engage the auto brake feature, hit this button. And so you hit the button, and then it rolls, and it says, hey, this will be in this mode for 30 minutes,
Huh.
so that it'll roll like that. And then you have to step on the brake to then put it back in gear. So at the end of the car wash, you have to push on the brake, put it in gear, and then you can drive off. So I don't know why that story matters. It was just
You-
I did nothing else this weekend, and that came to mind as something that I could see how dumb Eric is.
I didn't know that was a thing. I'll be honest, but
Apparently
okay,
it is.
There you go. Well, hey, I threw something in follow up mainly because it made me laugh.
Enjoyed this
It made
article
me laugh, and
for those reasons. It made me laugh.
so I've had something fun 3 times. I think we decided about bits about money,
Right.
various things, and
Right.
so this is in follow up because Patrick McKenzie, right, did a post about the CrowdStrike situation and specifically how it impacted banks and how it impacted him personally when he couldn't go
Right.
down to the bank and withdraw money.
Uh-huh.
But so, oh my gosh, again, I laughed out loud, literally, reading this.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled out a couple of paragraphs that I thought were the funniest. In general, this is about, he goes through a little bit of explaining for, I think most of his audience certainly aren't security people. Most of his audience are probably banking people. And,
Right.
and he did have a quote in there that 20% of readers are engineers, which I'm like, oh, anyway, probably because he's a software guy. But so first part of the article was about like what is kernel and what is endpoint security software and why does it matter, and then what had to happen, and then the story kind of about himself and trying to get money to pay a contractor who, sorry, I'm jumping ahead a little here, but I don't know why you're paying a contractor in cash, but he implied in the article that in order to get lots of stuff done in Chicago, there's lots of cash being paid. And when the banks are down and you can't withdraw from a teller and the ATMs are up, but they can't, dispense enough money, and you go to another bank and that's fine, but the verification, or there was something about the banks these days, if you get a decline on something, they'll text you and you can say yes and then do it again. And
Right.
but the system that was doing the texting was presumably behind a CrowdStrike endpoint and wasn't actually working. Anyway, all sorts of fun stuff. Anyway, so I pulled out 3 kind of paragraphs, the paragraphs that some of the ones that I laughed at the most. So the first one is about an endpoint. One way an endpoint might be effed is if it was physically stolen from your working from home employee earlier this week. Another way is if it has recently joined a botnet orchestrated from a geopolitical adversary of the United States after one of your junior programmers decided to install wares because the 6-figure annual salary was too little to fund their video game habit. And then in parentheses, no, I am not reading your incident reports. I clarify for every security team in the industry. Which, right, we had something, I forget which article it was, but just in the last, seems like couple months, there was an example of where, somebody who had installed cracked games. Anyway, so that was the first one. Totally made me laugh out loud. Second one is, in theory, you perform ongoing monitoring of all your computers. Then your crack security team responds to alerts generated by your endpoint monitoring solution. This will sometimes merit further investigation and sometimes call for immediate remedial work. The conversations range from, did you really just install cracked StarCraft 2 on your work PC? Please don't do that. To the novel virus reported this morning compromised 32 computers in the wealth management office. Containment was achieved by 2:05 p.m. Eastern Time, by which point we had null routed every packet coming out of that subnet, then physically disconnected power to the router just to be sure. We have engaged incident response to see what, if any, data was exfiltrated in the 47 minutes between detection and null routing. At this point, we have no indications of compromise outside that subnet, but we cannot rule out a threat actor using the virus as a beachhead or advanced persistent threat being deployed. So, yeah, everything from please don't be a adult. Sorry, I was going to say something else. To, it's something really serious, especially in the banking industry, right? Like, that's where the money is. Anyway, then in parentheses, yes, that does sound like a Tom Clancy novel. No, that is not a parody. Anyway. Okay, so final one. CrowdStrike maintains that they do not understand it to be the case that a bad actor intentionally tried to bring down global finance infrastructure and airlines by using them as a weapon. No, CrowdStrike did that themselves, on accident, of their own volition. But this demonstrates the problem pretty clearly. If a junior employee tripping over a power cord at your company brings down computers worldwide, the bad guys have a variety of options for achieving directionally similar aims by attacking directionally similar power cords. So, anyway, I laughed. Oops. I laughed out loud at the article. So there you go. A little bit of follow up for the CrowdStrike article from a finance perspective.
Well done.
Anyway,
well done. It was a fun article.
It's a good one. So anyway, I thought that would kind of fit as follow up.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
All right. How about a topic? What'd you bring this week?
Well, I guess kind of along those lines. Google has said it is sorry after a bug prevented a significant number of Windows users from finding or saving their passwords. Google Chrome can be used as a password manager. We like password managers.
Semi, yeah.
Password managers are a good thing. So apparently at some point, Google on July 24th for 18 hours until July 25th, users were unable to access their passwords or save new passwords due to a change in product behavior without proper safeguard. And just to segue, an excuse that may sound familiar to anyone caught up in the CrowdStrike disruption this month. So there you go. Anyways, the quote, vanishing password problem that impacted Chrome's web browser users all over the world. They couldn't find their passwords. Newly saved passwords were also rendered invisible. They couldn't figure it out. So apparently it was limited to a specific version of the Chrome browser, but because Chrome updates itself constantly all the time, the precise number of users hit by the Google Password Manager Vanishing Act is hard to pin down. But if you do the math that there are more than 3 billion, billion with a B, 3 billion Chrome web browser users, with Windows users counting for the vast majority of these, it's possible to come with an estimated number. So Google said that 25% of the user base saw this change rolled out. It's 3 billion. Do some math. That's 750 million folks who couldn't access passwords. And potential. Sorry, that's
hypothetical.
750 million potentials, hypothetical. And of those, about 2%, according to Google's estimation, were actually hit with a password manager issue, which is now you get to about 15 million users had seen their passwords vanish into thin air.
So I'm sorry, were they gone forever? Or was it just that version couldn't access the old ones? Did they wind up deleting them?
No, it didn't wind up deleting them. They had just disappeared for 18 hours. Google, of course, apologizes for the inconvenience a service disruption outage may have caused, and anybody who is impacted, can please contact Google support.
So it's not like anybody who was hit had to go change out a bunch of passwords or anything like that.
No, and you could get around it. Google, the one thing I do like about Google is the fact that if they had a way to get around the issue, is you could launch the Chrome browser with a command line flag of enable features, skip undecryptable passwords, and that fixed the issue.
Skip what?
Undecryptable passwords. That's the key. So that kind of gives you a hint as to what probably broke and why passwords disappeared. But anyways, all better now. But there you go. That was the fun that some Google users may have, somewhere around 15 million Google users may have seen and panicked about for 18 hours.
I did not get hit by that, so that's good. Helps that I don't use Chrome to store my passwords.
Don't use Chrome to store your passwords. Yeah.
That would be even worse, though, with passkeys, right?
Yeah, it didn't really say anything about passkeys, but I assumed that the password manager was the issue, and your password manager would hold your passkeys. So
yeah,
I think that is a safe assumption.
Interesting. Okay, well, the article I chose this week was one that Dan put in the Slack, which is an Ars Technica article that basically says security is hard. And complicated security is even worse. And it can be obviated by the smallest things, or the biggest things in this kind of case. But so the title is Secure Boot is Completely Compromised on 200 plus models from 5 big device manufacturers or device makers. And the reason why.
So device or laptop? Like, are we talking PCs specifically or any kind of device?
PCs largely, I would think.
Okay.
It doesn't actually say, but if whatever the device is uses UEFI,
okay,
and supports secure boot, then there's a chance that it would be compromised. But the 5, let's see, I thought I pulled out a quote that had the 5 things. Yeah, it was Acer, Dell, Gigabyte, Intel, and Supermicro are the 5 manufacturers that were known compromised. And so what happened? Well, somebody checked the private key of a platform cert into GitHub.
Ouch.
Encrypted, but encrypted with a 4-character password.
So not really encrypted.
So it says that, let's see, so a little bit about what is this? So the secure boot, the whole point of secure boot is to protect against rootkits and malware threats that load before the operating system. So there were some proof of concept malware showed how this was possible it says in 2007, and then the first known BIOS rootkit in the wild was in 2011. But so the whole point of this is it's an industry-wide coalition of hardware and software makers that used public key cryptography so that in the BIOS, they have public keys of who's allowed to sign software that runs. And then Secure Boot will, as the computer is starting up, verify that it will only load and run signed modules, that it can validate and verify. So if you've got Secure Boot enabled, you can't run unsigned software prior to the OS loading. But that is not helpful if someone checks the private key of one of the certs that is available in the list of public certs that's available to verify software into GitHub and makes it available. So that's that's the general situation. So it says on Thursday, researchers from security firm Binarly revealed that Secure Boot is completely compromised on more than 200 device models sold by Acer, Dell, Gigabyte, Intel, and Supermicro. A cryptographic key underpinning Secure Boot on these models was compromised in 2022 in a public GitHub repository committed in December of that year. Someone working for multiple US-based device manufacturers published what's known as a platform key, the cryptographic key that forms the root of trust anchor between the hardware device and the software or the firmware that runs on it. The repository included the private portion of the platform key in encrypted form. The encrypted file, however, was protected by a 4-character password, a decision that made it trivial for Binarly and anyone else with even a passing curiosity to crack the passcode and retrieve the corresponding plain text. The disclosure of the key went largely unnoticed until January 23, when Binarly researchers found it while investigating a supply chain incident. Now that the leak has come to light, security experts say it effectively torpedoes the security assurances offered by Secure Boot on those devices, obviously. And until you apply a firmware update that removes that key from the potential trust list. So, okay, so that's awful.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more. So
one more thing.
One more thing. When they looked at the list of public certs available on, it says more than 300 additional device models from virtually all major device manufacturers. As is the case with the platform key compromised in the 22 GitHub leak, an additional 21 platform keys on various of the other 300 additional device models contain the strings "do not ship" or "do not trust." So,
of course they do.
I mean, it's so incredibly easy to let something slip through, and now you've got a key mark that was supposed to be a test key or was supposed to be, allow QA to validate pre-production hardware or something like that, and the good folks fighting the good security fight created the key and created the CN as "do not ship." And they did. So,
that reminds me of things I used to do.
I have put comments in code as over the years, absolutely, and I very much remember. Don't code angry. Don't code angry.
That's right.
Anyway. So
good stuff.
So there you go. Secure Boot guarantees not so much. So I'm assuming that there are lots of people rapidly pushing firmware updates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we're being asked for firmware updates at high priority from big companies.
Yep,
pretty frustrated. All right, man. How about something fun?
All right, so my something fun. This was an interesting take on AI. So you remember Humane, I think was the name of the company,
Oh, yeah.
had this AI pin that you would pin to you, and it would had a projector that out on your hand, and you could. I mean, it was a very ambitious project, and by all
Right.
accounts, kind of has flopped.
Floppy.
Well, there's a new AI companion gadget. So it's called Friend, and it is specifically just an AI that's there to be your friend. It's not to, help you work better or anything like it is intentionally designed to I'll read a few things here. It's supportive, validating, and encourages your ideas. It's super intelligent and a great brainstorming. You can talk to it about relationships and things like that. Sounds a little creepy, but
Sorry.
it's this little glowing orb. So the interesting piece about this, it's a little glowing orb. So you wear it, clip it to your clothes or on a necklace or something. And it's got a built-in microphone, and it records ambient noise, or you talk directly to it. The orb, this little thing that's attached to you, doesn't talk back. It communicates with you via text message in a app on your phone. So you are having a conversation out loud to yourself, and your phone is responding. The message is popping through your phone, which is an interesting idea. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And
I guess if you have AirPods on, it'll read your text messages too. So I guess in that way, it's semi kind of talking to you.
Yeah. So apparently it's still very, very early, very much a prototype. Schiffman, I don't remember pulling out his first name. He plans to ship 30,000 of these devices in January. So 5 months away. But one of the lines in here, he says he's very candid. The person writing the article about Schiffman says he's candid about why he's even talking about the thing now to get more credibility and leverage with manufacturers. As they say, hardware is hard, and there's still a lot of work to do. But he tries to keep his goals at least realistic. He says it's just a fancy Bluetooth microphone with a shell around it. Let's just keep it simple. And the other part that I liked is the writer, the author, says probably the best analogy for friend is probably the Tamagotchi.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember the Tamagotchis, 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Ish.
The little pets.
I never had
somewhere
one,
in there.
but I remember
I didn't have one. My oldest daughter had one. And so, yeah, it's, that kind of you take care of something. But a friend doesn't store transcripts or audio, and if you lose it, you lose all your data and memories. So it's that account that keeps with you. And at the end of what the last thing I pulled out is this is a toy. People should view it that way, and I want people to really view it that way. But it could be fun. You should still have actual human interaction with real people. So the sale pitch here, and we'll see what happens really, is he wants to just sell it for $99 a piece with no subscription fee. I don't know how that's ever going to work because a lot of this sounds like it runs in the back end and cloud service. I don't know. You got to have a subscription at some point, but that's the current plan. So am I going to get one? No, maybe. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
Might be worth throwing
like
in $100 just to play with.
Just to play with it and see what it does. But if it's built as a toy and to be a friend, I don't know. Maybe it'll be helpful for some people just to bounce ideas off of or something. So, anyways, there you go. That's my something fun.
Okay. Gonna be lots of use of AI in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Let all the AIs proliferate.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Okay. I'm like recycling stuff, evidently, reduce, reuse, recycle. So my something fun is a rehash from episode 334, which actually was named Recurrent Nova, because it's like coming, like they're like, so this is the explosion that will be visible with the naked eyes, and it happens every 79 to 80 years, so it happened last in the 40s, 1946, and unfortunately astronomers do not have the exact periodicity, and it actually might not be exactly happen the exact same number of days, minutes, hours, etc. between them. It is evidently, it has dimmed, and so they expect it to happen over the course of sometime in the next month or so, next few weeks. It should be visible with the naked eye. It should be one of the brightest stars in the sky. It says that it will be as bright as the North Star, and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So
hope for no clouds.
Hope for no clouds. Go up to Stub Stewart State Park or whatever, assuming no clouds. That's still good. Go up someplace where it's dark. Use the little app, the Sky Finder app. I forget the name of there's an app that I have on my phone that helps with finding astronomical events.
I use Star Walk. That's the one that I use. I don't know what yours is.
I have Sky Guide.
Okay. Mine Star Walk, you use the phone's sensors and you kind of move it around and it'll show you what you're looking at and overlay.
Exactly.
The stars and
exactly
fun stuff.
Yeah. So it should be. I'm sure it will have it in the apps as it shows up. So let's see. It says, I pulled out just a couple of other things about here. So once in a lifetime view of an astronomical explosion is expected any night. T Corona Borealis, also known as the Blaze Star, is actually a pair of stars located 3,000 light years away. The star system is a recurring nova with Earth visible explosions every 79 to 80 years. The last recorded outburst was in 1946, and forecasts it will do so again before September of 24. So next 4 weeks or so.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the exact day and time of the explosion are unknown, but looking at the star system's historical behavior and current pre-eruption dip indicate the view of the explosion is imminent. So, there you go.
Wonder if
keep your ear out for astronomical news, and when you hear it happening, I hope that I will be able to get out and see it myself.
Yeah, run outside and look. I wonder if James Webb will have some eyeballs on it.
I wonder.
You would think. I don't know.
I don't know where in the sky it is.
I don't either.
But I mean, with relation to where the Webb can see.
Right.
But there you go.
Cool.
Something
very
fun.
Cool.
Again.
All right, John.
All right, my friend. I will talk to you later.
We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.